Okay, last talk before lunch. What? New official hashtag of the conference. Last hand raising before lunch. Who of you is into front-end development? Okay, there's a lot, so people know what I'm talking about. My talk is called the Loosely Coupled Frontend. It's about the next iteration of the karriere.at frontend. And most of our achievements in Ninja Laser Science on the front end are about decoupling components and making developer happy. So it's about dev experience. My name is Klemens Schreiber. I'm full stack responsive web application developer, which does not fit on here. Front-end lead at karriere.at. I like beer, coffee, cigarettes, and everything which is JavaScript related. That's why I put the green hearts on there, because they're the strongest hearts in the internet. You can tweet me at thisisgordon or subscribe me on k94n.com. So let's define some scope. What is karriere.at? This is kind of complicated, but karriere.at is not only karriere.at. It's a lot of people, about 100 people. A third of them are working on the web projects. So what I got asked a lot is, you have this homepage, what are all these people doing there? So it's complicated, but karriere.at is more than karriere.at. More than the karriere.at you type in the browser bar. So in terms of front ends, this means we ship a variety of front ends. Skip some now. I skip through some of them now to get you a feel of what we're working on. So we have Jobs.at, which is on the mission to be the most fucking sophisticated job aggregator in Austria. Spoilering, we're shifting the version number in a few weeks. This one is built for speed by design because it's very Google-driven. We have branch-specific sites. We call them verticals. They're dedicated portals to serve a specific slice of the job cake. So sales jobs, sales careers for sales guys, and IT Stellen is for IT guys, and so on. You get the idea. We also run a front end for a blog called Karriere blog. According to marketing, it's the biggest HR blog in Austria. We also have a B2B application where you can post jobs in our ecosystem or search through our talent cloud. And this is also coupled to a small marketing front end. And of course, we have karriere.at, which is, like all our front ends, a fast and responsive web application. This is the karriere.at homepage they're all talking about. So let's define what a typical front end of karriere.at or a typical new front end has in the box, the key principles of our front ends. We build for speed. We build for speed in every metric. We got a lot of traffic through Google, and Google says we should be fast. So we're shipping in a progressive enhanced approach. We're trying to do fast APIs, fast first bytes, running small CSS layers and small JavaScript on top of that. We are building mobile-first responsive application because we have a lot of mobile traffic on our pages. We're doing vanilla JS because fuck jQuery and so on. We're moving from Sand framework to Laravel. And as you might notice, there's an elephant in the room. More than in Rome, it's in the middle of the stack. We're coming from a PHP stack. But as your JavaScript hearts are bleeding, PHP is very fast. In combination with Laravel, Nginx, Redis, Elasticsearch. We're doing really sophisticated first bytes with this. I have a real-time video of Jobs.at loading very fast. Pyong, pyong, whole application is up in 300 milliseconds. Let's do this in Ember. It cannot be done that fast. So as you might notice, we're building multi-page applications. Where the multi-page application, this means we don't have all these JWT problems we heard before. Server controls routing and permissioning And on top of this, we run a very fast JavaScript. We run very fast JavaScript to enhance to a sophisticated real user experience. As our applications grow in terms of features and requirements over the time, we rewrite our applications every few years. So now we are shifting the number of karriere.at of the karriere.at homepage you saw before from 3 to 4, and we don't skip major versions as in PHP or Windows or Elasticsearch or whatever. So after 3 comes 4. As this is a very big rewrite, it also affects a lot of API, backend parts of the code base, but this talk focuses on the front end. Some words on our approach. We took a very pragmatic approach. We have chapter meetings, front-end chapter meetings every 2 weeks. So all the front-end developers are on a table, and we created a hate list. So all the things people are fucked up when building application, we put on this list, tables, for examples, and so on. And then we started prototyping on these problems. We did a lot of sandbox testing, using different technologies and trying out stuff. So after we tried out stuff, we came out with a boilerplate. The boilerplate is called KFC, which is the Karriere front-end core. It's a collection of best practices we got from our prototypings. And out of these boilerplate, I want to take out 3 challenges. We had 3 patterns we make use of and bundled out some takeaways for use in similar web projects, projects with a similar scope. So, first one, client templating. Problem again, the elephant. What's the problem in general? You have sophisticated client application and you want to update parts of the client UI. And in combination with Blade, which is the template language of Laravel, the problem is Blade only exists on the server. So what are current approaches with Laravel to build Laravel applications? You can build Laravel as in Laravel and do hard links. Doesn't need any explanations. You do a hyperlink, click the hyperlink, get the next document. Very easy. You can flash error messages in Laravel out of the box, but that's not really sophisticated. And a common pattern is also Laravel degraded as an API and build a single page application on top of that. But this needs a lot of re-rendering for landing pages and stuff. So this is not really sophisticated, but we find a way between those 2 approaches. To make the problem clear again, our old implementation, we have a job listing and we have a pagination on bottom. So if someone clicks the pagination button, we fire up an XHR request. This XHR request goes into a Laravel action. The action pre-renders parts of the UI and pushes it back to the client. Then the client just updates the appropriate list or DOM element. So, introducing handlebars. We tried a few front-end templating languages. The problem is we don't want to implement UI items in 2 different languages because this is bullshit. So let's have a closer look at these 2. The upper one is Laravel's Blade template, and the bottom one is Handlebars. If you zoom in a little bit, rololo, just remove the $signs, it's basically the same. So you can render in PHP and you can render in JavaScript the same template with the same set of data. So let's have a look at our new implementation. Same environment, you have the pagination for the job list, you hit the job list button, we fire up the AJAX request, but instead of rendering on the server, we just push the API data through this XHR request and render on client with the same data we did before. This is really straightforward as we change anything in the whole cycle. So takeaways of Handlebars. Handlebars is a great bridge to put templates out of the PHP world and bring it alive on the client. It feels like a subset of Blade. Blade has more features, more functionality, but it forces you to create dump view data, which is very great. It saves a lot of data over the wire, so you don't ship all these markup and whistles with the XHR request. It's really fast. And templates can be pre-compiled to pure functions to ship with your JavaScript modules. Second one, Modular CSS in the flavor of BAM. So what's the problem? This problem is really simple. It's from our pragmatic approach. It's called me, I cannot reuse that CSS. That's broken a lot of times, so let's have a closer look at the problem. The problem in general is you couple CSS to the DOM elements. Let's have a look at this company card. There's a button in there which is called the follow button. So junior developer wants to use the button in another module. So he searches through the CSS files and finds this one. So we don't write these selectors by hand. We use precompiled less, no SAS, where you can nest in, so developer does not know that this is actually that bad because it doesn't see the selector in development. This is the DOM for this selector. So you need an unordered list. The unordered list has to be an ID featured company. It must have a list item nested. This list item has to have a footer in there, and the follow button must be a button element. So this is bad because if you want to reuse that button, you have to copy exactly this DOM structure. So BAM 101. Who of you knows BAM? Is anyone? Yeah, it's exactly the one who do front end. That's cool. So BAM 101 for the backend guys. Company card, the B of BAM says you do modular blocks. So the block has a one-level selector called company card. Inside the block there are children or elements which are separated in the selector with a dash, a low dash, or whatever. You can pick what flavor you want. And the M of BAM is modifier. So you can do the logo in another styling or the button in another styling. That's all about BAM you have to know. Then you can rewrite decoupled CSS selectors. So in our case, we write a company card selector which does the styling for the block of the company card. We also create the element inside there, which is the follow button. This selector is just for how the follow button behaves in the company card. And we create another block for the follow button itself. So when we come up with the DOM for this, you can just create a DOM element with the company card and inside use the follow button element. This is really straightforward. You can also use the follow button on its own. So takeaways from modular CSS. Reusable components are hot because you can prototype. You just have to insert the CSS file for this specific component and you can write a prototype on this. They're also hot because you know what's going on. So DOM is bloated because of long selectors, but gzip fixes the stuff. Selectors are fast because they're short. Shortest selectors are the fastest. They're around one level because you have pseudostates. You can do in BAM. You can take whatever flavor of modular CSS you want. Take what the fuck CSS or smack CSS, whatever. It's just about making it modular. And thinking about the naming can be applied in the full stack. So if you think about the module, this can also affect templates or JavaScript modules in our case. Third and last challenge was bundling. Bundling in a nutshell, we have two entry files which have dependency to modules, and common modules are factored out into a common bundle. So what are the problems? The problems in general are a little bit hard to understand, but manual bundling is hard. So if a developer has to make a handcrafted array where he should know what's going on this page, it's really hard. Then there's a very general problem which can be applied to your private life. 2 more people, more social. Just got 2 kids. This can be applied to this too. And you have 2 dependency trees, which is really heavy in general because you have a less tree with dependencies and you have a JavaScript tree with dependencies, which is not in sync, which this generates problem when you refactor stuff. So let's have a look at our current implementation. We are running AMD modules. So you define the module, you create an array of dependencies, and then the dependencies are pushed into the function as arguments. On the other side is the less dependencies, just imports, very obvious. And this is our bundling at the moment. We have very soft bundling because browser knows about AMD, so you can just ship the AMD file and files and everything is working. But we're crafting this handcrafted array, which sums up some modules which are shipped for the entry bundles, and later, so this is why I say this is soft bundling, because if you do something wrong, modules can be loaded on demand. So here is where more people, more social comes in. Now, let's have a look at our new implementation or our outcome of our prototyping. This cow is Webpack, and this is something from Star Wars, where I don't know the English word for it. When I first got in contact with Webpack, I saw the web page, and on their start page they have this graph which really tells everything about Webpack. You have modules with dependencies, you push them into Webpack, and out comes static assets. Wow, there's coffee, unless, so there's pre-compiling in here, cool. What else is in Webpack? Everything is a module. This is very unique for Webpack. I first tried with Browserify to bundle up these dependencies, but Webpack is going a step further and says fonts are dependencies, SVGs are dependencies, images are, everything is a module. So Webpack comes with a list of loaders. So you can load handlebars, you can load CSS in there, you can load your modules through a bubble loader, which brings you this beautiful ES6 classes and module syntax, which syncs all of these 2 dependency trees. So you can import a style sheet in your JavaScript module. If you factor out this module, style sheets are gone. It's nice. So takeaways of Webpack, everything is a module. ES6 modules for the win because the syntax is just as clear. First, when we did AMD modules and the dependency tree is going long, it's very hard to find out which of the upper arrays in the argument lists, and so this is really hard. In the ES6 syntax, it's really simple, less that code, because you can just import what you export in the module. Source maps are very easy in Webpack. We've first bundled, or in the current implementation, we bundle with Grunt.js, and in Grunt.js you have to push these modules through all these windy roads with bubble and uglify, and source maps are really hard to get through all this through all these pipes, and Webpack just does it, just add a development flag or a source maps flag, it just works. And shared code bundles are very easy. You just add a module which says if a module is used more than 1 or 2 times, factor this out in a common bundle. Last learning from our new iteration is build modules sandbox. So if you're creating decoupled, modular, front-end stuff, you should build this sandbox. This is very, there is a project in React going on now, it's called React Sandbox, which does essentially what we're doing. It says we created this so-called lab where you can create your components, your modules. You can share the modules in the team. You can try different mock data on these modules and see how it behaves. You can also do testing in there. So, and of course, we're not hiring, we're searching for web programmers. JS developers, SAS, PHP, whatever. We have this funky website, karriere.at, where you can look what pushes. But be careful if you go to karriere.at and search for a job on karriere.at, because you have to go to the company page karriere.at, because there are a lot of other jobs on there. So, questions. Oh, I have to read the questions. Isn't it time for to rediscover React or Angular? Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. So, the problem is, I love this single-page application. I'm doing a lot of stuff with Meteor or Ember.js. The problem with karriere.at is we have a really large landing page index where all these static pages are held for Google. And how you do this, Meteor has a package which is called Spiderable. This one calls every page in the landing page index and pre-renders it. This is not possible with our landing page index. We have about 3-4 million pages in the landing page index. It's not possible to do it this way, and it's not that fast. What about caching for faster end-user experience? Yeah, we cache everything. So, like this. Caching is nice. Why PHP? PHP, because we started with PHP. We have a lot of PHP developers. PHP developers are more easy to recruit because there are more of them. So, KFC is not open source. If it's about me, I would open source it tomorrow, but it's a company decision. So, yes. What's the last one? Do you know pchecks? No. Renders everything on the server. So I had a look at Mustache and some other client templating languages, but we're coming, like we said, from a PHP stack, and people know Laravel. Laravel is a nice framework. Blade is a nice template language, and Handlebars is just a subset of this. So this is the easiest path to bring the PHP developer to a client template without implementing more than one template language. Yeah, thanks. So thanks and peace out.